I just finished up a stained glass project that I was working on, and I can show it to you if you want to see it. But I couldn't sleep last night, and I just got the itch to start on my next project. And I thought, what a perfect time to bring you along with me. Because I wanted to show the process from start to finish of what it's like to take a pattern, design the pattern for it to work, cut it out of glass, grind it, solder it, clean it, and then I think in this particular project I'm going to play around with patina for the first time, which will be fun, but that'll be at the end and that'll be an extra step. And I wanted to show this because I don't think people realize how much of a process making a piece of stained glass is. I didn't realize it until I took my class and I've started making projects on my own, but taking like a singular project, and I make pretty small projects, it'll take several days for us to get this done. But I, for one, really like the process of it. I think it's really soothing and calming. It's very methodical. At the end, I always feel really accomplished with the finished project that I had. So, yeah, that's what this video is. Right now, we are on step 1. So, last night when I couldn't sleep, I have a page in the Freeform app on my iPad where I keep a bunch of ideas of whenever inspiration strikes. I'll either write down some words or a small sketch of something that I might want to create. And then when it comes to pattern making, I am by no means an expert. I've enjoyed making my own designs. You can buy patterns online for free, or they're really cheap on Etsy, or there's like stained glass books that'll come with patterns that you can get that are perfectly fine. They're perfectly great. I enjoy making my own from time to time. So I was going for like a lemon tree that's growing up a window, and like you're looking out of your kitchen. Maybe you're in like Italy or France. I don't know if hopefully lemon trees grow in either Italy or France. If they don't, that's embarrassing, but in my head, that's what we're doing. We're cooking in Italy and France, and you're looking out your window and you just see this beautiful bright lemons with sunshine and bright green leaves. I was looking at this pattern and I found some problem areas. To be fair, it was 3 a.m. when I finished it, and so we're giving myself a little bit of grace, but I do this thing where I keep designing pieces that have teeny tiny pieces. I don't know, I think I don't fully grasp the scale of a sheet of paper. I think I have more room than I actually do. And so when I'm drawing on my iPad, I think, oh yeah, that'll be fine. It's a little triangle. How hard can it be? And then I cut it out of my pattern and it's like the size of my pinky. Anyways, this pattern needed some fixing. I wanted to simplify this a little bit because this had like 67 pieces and it did not need to be that complex. And to be honest, when you get to such small pieces with stained glass, once you cover them in copper foil and solder, I worry that some of them will just look like big blobs of solder anyways. So I made some alterations to the design. I changed the shape of one of my leaves to cover up a small triangle, and I made some of my lemons bigger and more rotund to cover up just like tiny triangle wedges. And I think I did a pretty good job. I cut out 4 or 5 pieces, which will help a lot in the cutting and fitting and grinding process actually on time. That's why this pattern looks a little messy. All of the areas in gray, that's pencil. That's where I've fixed the shapes to be how I want it. I'm probably going to color them in Sharpie before I cut them out, but I think we are ready to start cutting out these pieces. Step number 1 is printing out 2 copies of your pattern. The one that you're going to actually like cut up and use on glass and use as a stencil, and you're going to want one for reference to check if your pieces are fitting and to just like reference your layout so you know what piece you're working on. The next thing we're going to do is go through each of these and label the pieces. So just go through each section, label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make sure on both of your copies that the labels are the same. This is gonna really help when you have just a pile of glass pieces and you're trying to fit them together and figure out which way they go and where they go, to have these references. Now, there are special stained glass scissors that you can use. I don't have any. They're actually pretty cheap. I should probably order some. But essentially what they are is scissors that cut two lines in a paper. I can't remember the distance on it. It's like a couple millimeters apart. And that gives you some margin of error for adding your copper foil. You can use those stained glass scissors, or I'm just going to use a pair of regular scissors and cut this out. So I'll talk to you after we do that. Okay, so this is going to take forever for me to do, so I'm going to finish this off camera. I'm going to sit on my couch, throw on a YouTube video. I don't know how long this is going to take. This might take like an hour. I'll let you know. That'll be kind of fun throughout this video. Let's tally up how long it takes to do a project from start to finish. It took about 10 minutes to number everything. Also, if you see that, my cat got a laser pointer for Christmas. He seems not enthused, but that's what that little dot is. Okay, I'll see you in a few minutes. Hello again. It's been a couple days. It took me about an hour and a half actually to cut out the pattern. That's what you saw in the last clip. And now, this next step in making stained glass art is to stick those pattern pieces onto glass. So, welcome. This is my front door. This is my coat closet, and this is where I keep my big box of glass. So, let's see what we have. I think I have all the right colors and all the colors that I want. But let's take a look, shall we? Oh, this is genuinely just a big box that I keep all of my glass pieces in. So I have a mat that you can use to cut glass on, and I have so many bags that look like this. If you can see, there's just a ton of little shards of glass. I keep all of my scraps because you never know what they could be useful for in the future. So, in our piece, we pretty much just have 3 colors, is what I'm thinking. We have the lemons, which need to be yellow. We have the leaves, which I'm thinking a green color. And then the background, which I've been going back and forth on white could look really pretty, or maybe a clear. Like the original idea is for it to be clear, right? Because it's supposed to be a lemon tree in the window. Let's start with the easy options. I only have one yellow. Yellow glass is actually kind of hard to come by. This I got from a local shop here in Atlanta, and look how gorgeous it is. Let me see. It has this iridescence on it. You see how it kind of shines all rainbow? It's so pretty. This glass is so gorgeous. I think it'll really make the lemons pop. So we're going to do the lemons in that color. And then we have two options for greens. We have this one, which is pretty dark, and it has a bunch of swirly patterns. So that could be kind of fun. And then the other option is a little bit lighter, but I only have this much, and I think I have a couple scrap pieces, but not much more than this. So, you know what? No, we don't have to think about it that hard. I want to go with this one. I think it'll be a nice contrast to the bright yellow having really dark leaves, and I think we can do some cool stuff with the movement in this glass, in the leaves, and I think it can be really interesting. And now for the major decision, what should we do the background? So I have some options that I don't even know why I'm asking you. By the time you see this piece will already be made, but here's what we're working with. I have this glass that is, I can't remember what it's called, but it's just a really textured clear. It kind of reminds me of a floral pattern, or you know, like how your windshield looks when it frosts over a little bit? I think that's what this reminds me of. Option 2 is I have this glass, which I do have some pretty big chunks of scrap glass for, because this, I don't know if this is big enough. It should be big enough. But this one has bubbles in it, and it kind of looks like a window that's been rained on. Yeah? And then our final option is this white, and this is a really pearly white. It's really pretty, and it has a little bit of a ripple effect. But I think I'm feeling, as of right now, in this moment, I think I'm feeling this one. I really love this glass. This is one of my favorites to work with, and it's also one of the cheapest, which is not why it's my favorite. I think it's stunning. I think it's really pretty, and the fact that it is also the cheapest is just a perk. So I like it. Let's make the decision. Let's go with that. We've got our 3 colors. Let's start sticking on our pattern, huh? We've got our supervisor here who's making sure everything's up to snuff. Let's start with our yellow. I'm actually going to wipe down the area that I'm going to stick my pattern to. I'm going to wipe it down with fingernail polish remover. Because I'm using stickers, that just helps make sure that there's nothing on the glass that can prevent my sticker from sticking. We're going to start with piece number 28. There's not much to say about this part of making stained glass. It's pretty easy. You just stick it on. But there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. First thing you want to keep in mind is there a textured versus non-textured side of a glass? It's much easier to cut on flat surfaces. So in this case, both sides are pretty textured, so we're not going to worry about it. So we can go ahead and stick it on the front. Next thing you want to think about is if there's any grain in your glass and which direction do you want that grain to go. With these lemons, I don't think I care that much. But for the window pieces, I'm gonna care because I want the grain all going in the same direction. It'll just look really funky if you have like 10 pieces that are supposed to be of the same object and one of them, your pattern or your grain is going in the wrong direction. Like, it's gonna stand out, you're gonna notice, and it's gonna bother you. So always keep that in mind and like what orientation you stick it down in. Final thing is placement. You want to keep your stickers, or you want to keep your pattern pieces close together to save on glass, obviously, but you don't want them so close together that you can't fit your glass cutter through. So I'm probably gonna leave, I'll probably leave a few millimeters apart. So for the rest of this, I think I'm just gonna stick my glass pieces on. I don't know how much I'm gonna actually show with you, but I will keep track of how long this takes me. And yeah, I'll check in with you on the next step. I'm procrastinating the next step because it has to happen outside behind. And I love my patio. I love having an outdoor space, but my patio is very close to my neighbors' patios. They are honestly looking at each other. And to do this, I have to set up my camera, which is my phone, but it's on a tripod outside. And just the idea of them being able to look out their living room window and being able to see me film myself is very embarrassing. But we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for you. Also because I want to make progress on this project, because I'm really excited about it. And even filming this, I'm procrastinating. We just need to go outside. We need to do it. It'll be fine. 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 Welcome to my kitchen. I have my pieces, I have my grinder, I have safety gloves, and safety glasses. So grinding glass is very similar to sanding wood. Essentially, we're going to take these rough pieces that we've cut out. See how jagged that edge is? We're going to take it, we have a grinding bit that literally feels like sandpaper, and run the glass along the grinding bit, and it's going to smooth everything out. We're going to grind it right to the edge of the pattern. And in an ideal world, after we're all done with this, we can place each of our pieces onto our reference sheet. Yeah, and they should fit together perfectly at that point. Couple things to note when grinding. It can be kind of a messy process, so I'm going to go ahead and put towels underneath my grinder to catch all of the splatters because I do not want glass dust flying everywhere. And it can be kind of dangerous, so you're going to want to make sure that you have your safety equipment on. I think it's pretty simple. Let's get started.
We've been living in sin so long, all the fields are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life.
Alright, so we're finally done grinding. I think in total it took me about 4.5 hours. Took me a long time. But listen, there were over 60. There were over 60 pieces. So when you think about it, you spend a couple minutes each piece smoothing out the edges. Some pieces needed more time if there was a big chunk of glass you needed to grind down than others. So overall, I don't think that was too bad. I split it up over a couple of days. I didn't do it all in one go. But you're kind of getting the idea of why some stained glass pieces can be so expensive. Because especially the really intricate ones, when there's a ton of pieces that they have to fit together perfectly, it can take a long time to make sure that fit is right. Let alone if you mess up and you have to go all the way back to the beginning, cut out a new pattern, cut out a new piece of glass, and fit it together. Anyways, so we're at the stage now where I've done a quick fit check, and things are looking pretty good. I'm actually really impressed. I was not expecting, after the first round of grinding, for things to be looking this good. There are some pieces that don't fit as well, but it's good enough. I'm not going to sell this. This is just for me. This is just for my practice. And you know what? For it being quite an intricate piece, And for my skill level, I think it's pretty good. I think it's looking great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started then on the next step, which is foiling. So foiling is applying this copper foil tape to the edge of each piece so that when you put it all together at the end, that is what the solder sticks to. Since we're going to patina this black, I got some copper foil tape special that has a black backing, because especially on the clear pieces, a lot of times you can see the foil when the piece is done, and you don't want to have like silver backing foil if you patina it black. It really stands out. So the process is pretty simple. I'm just going to clean each piece really well with acetone, actually it's nail polish remover, and then carefully apply the foil around the edges. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's our piece. It's looking really good. Now that we're all foiled, next step is to solder. But before we can solder, I want to just tape all of these pieces together, just so we have one solid piece that we're working with, and nothing gets like out of alignment as we're soldering. So I'm gonna make sure all of these pieces are face up right now, and I'm just gonna tape it down. Then when we're ready to solder, I'll flip it over, add some flux, and it's always best to start soldering on the back. I'm just using masking tape to tape it down. On smaller pieces, I usually use washi tape. That works really well, but I wanted something with a thicker band, so I didn't have to use so much washi tape. So this should work. It should work well. It's not sticky enough to pull off the foils, but it should be sticky enough to hold things together. Okay, welcome to my soldering station. I think we have everything we need. Soldering iron, tip tinner, very wet sponge, flux, brush to brush on the flux, couple of solder spools, and safety gloves. Oh, I do have safety glasses as well, so I will be wearing those. Now, soldering, I absolutely would do outside. if it was nicer weather. But I wanted to get this done today, and yeah, it's not pleasant outside. I don't want to sit out there while I do this. So, I have a fan. This is really important because during the soldering process, the fumes are pretty toxic. That's something that you don't want to breathe in. Now, I find that just having a fan here really close to where the intake is really close to where I'm soldering is enough to push the fumes out of my direction. I also make sure my cat stays on this side of the fumes so he's not also affected. And then that's enough to keep it out of my lungs. Now, a lot of other stained glass artists that I see do use like a mask or a ventilator when doing this. So that's another option, but I find a fan is enough for me. So the process is pretty simple. First, you just brush on a bunch of flux, and then we'll start off by doing some tack welds in the corners to hold the piece together. Then I'll go through and do all of the lines and all of the joints and trying to make it smooth. We'll flip it over, do the backside, and then do the border, and the edges will be last. Well, I guess the very last thing is we'll add some jump loop we can hang this thing from. So, very exciting. Soldering, I think, is one of those things that really makes or breaks a piece. You can have fairly large gaps in your cutting skills, but honestly, solder can hide more than you think it will. But what sets like pieces apart from being good to really great artists, or not really great artists, but people who have been practicing this skill for a really long time and who are very skilled at stained glass, you can definitely tell in their solder lines. So I'm just gonna get started, take my time, try to make things smooth and get things as pretty as possible. And exciting, we're almost there. We're getting through it. I'm finally done soldering. That took way longer than I thought it was going to, and mostly it was my fault because I kept going back and trying to fix mistakes, but I'm at the point where if I keep touching it, I'm going to make it worse. I'm at the point where I'm ready to be done, step away, and to be honest, I think it looks pretty good, especially from afar, but the only things left to do is I do have to solder on the jump rings, which are the loops that we're going to hang this piece from. And then we can try out patina, which I think will be fun. The silver isn't bad, but I think the black color, turning these solder lines black, is just really going to make it pop. Yeah, I think she's looking good. I think this is going to be really pretty when we hang it in the window, but we'll see that at the end. But to make jump rings, I'm using a pre-tinned copper wire. It's important that the wire is copper, and it's important that it has a layer of tin on it, otherwise solder won't stick to it. So I got this from a stained glass shop. So how to make jump rings is first, I take something that is round, you can use a pencil, I'm using this X-Acto knife, and I'm taking this wire and I'm going to wrap it a few times, nice and tightly, around this X-Acto knife. Okay, then I'm going to take some wire cutters, which I'm just going to use this section of the needle nose pliers to cut off that spiral. Just like that. Now we've got this little spiral. I have these really small jewelry pliers that I use, and you just put like this and cut them. Okay? And now you should have several jump rings. Now for the exciting part. We're going to patina the solder lines black. Like I said, I've never done this before, so if it turns out bad, I don't want to hear anything about it, okay? We're experimenting, we're playing around. I'm just going to follow the directions on the back of this patina. It's the Novocan brand. I just got it at my stained glass store. It seems to be the most common brand. But it says to just apply it with a plastic brush. This is a old toothbrush. And then wipe away the excess. Why am I nervous? It's fine. This is literally, if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. It's fine. Calm down, Abby. Okay, where should I start? Should I start? I kind of want to start. I'm going to start right here. I'm starting. That's crazy. Wait, that's so crazy. Hopefully you can see. And I'm just gonna wipe away the excess. Okay, gross. That looks so good. Oh, I'm so excited. This was such a good decision. This is so fun. Hello. Here is the finished piece. You've probably already seen it, but we're finally done, which is very exciting. I wanted to end this with a little review of how I think it went and what I've learned. I'm going to try to keep this really brief because this video is already super long, but I think it's important to reflect on the process, especially since we're experimenting, we're learning, we're trying something new. I think it's important to have a little reflection, a little retrospective, if you will, over what went well, what didn't go well, etc. First thing, I love the colors we chose. I think they look really pretty. The clear was the right choice. I love the textured glass for the windows. I love the iridescence in the yellow and the movement in the marble green. I also am so happy with Patina, the solder. It really just makes everything pop and really defined. And I think it gives that window pane look that if we just left them silver, it wouldn't give. I'm so happy we did this. This is the most complex piece I've ever done. Like I mentioned, there were over 60 pieces, and it was a lot. It took way longer than I thought it would. This is kind of why this video is going to be late. Now, if I, had a little bit more practice, or if I just had been doing this art for longer, it probably wouldn't have taken as much time, but I was not expecting it to take me as long as it did. And you should have seen, I'll put on the screen the total amount of hours that I had, which is crazy. A couple things to point out of mistakes that I made. This piece right here, definitely supposed to be yellow. Yeah, and I made it clear, but I still think it looks good. I think you wouldn't notice unless I pointed it out to you, so it's fine. I'm not gonna fix it. I could. There is ways to fix it if you wanted to, but I'm probably not going to. Second thing I want to point out is look at the lines. So this side, look how straight it looks. Beautiful. Lined up perfectly. This side, can you see? Can you see? She's a little bit more wonky. She is not lined up perfectly. And I think that comes down to grinding. I think some of my pieces were off and I didn't go back and fine tune it. Probably like I should have, but I think it's fine. It's fine for me. If I were to sell this or give it to someone, I absolutely would have fixed that. And I think something that could help, something I'm going to try in the future, is getting a couple of rulers that for everything with straight lines, then I can line up the edges of my pieces to a ruler. I think that would help too. Oh, the only other note is I wish I had a black chain. I think the silver chain kind of sticks out. I could try patinaing it, but I don't think it's the right type of metal. I could try, and I might as well try. That would be really quick and easy. But I do wish, just to match better, I had a black chain. But yeah, those are my notes. Overall, I think it went well. It's really exciting seeing an idea go from a drawing or just a vague image in my head to something that's tangible and in real life and seeing it flush through. So I had a good time. I learned a lot. This was a fun practice. This was a fun exercise. I'll probably be doing more videos like this just because, I don't know, I like having a project to do. I have so many more ideas. But okay, that's it. That's all I had to say. If you're still here, that's crazy. Hi, my name's Abby. I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, that's it. That's all I had. Bye.